Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. For today, we have on the show, I mean, what can I say? We have the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the incredible, the one and only, the superstar, Taylor. Taylor, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. And what better way, right? Have an incredible, super badass day to be chatting with someone as badass as you know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. Very kind.
Absolutely. Now, for those who are tuning in, thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, on the description below, you're going to find all of Taylor's social media. Let's follow her. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Taylor. And let's find out why she's super badass. Now, without further more, let's jump in. So, I want to start the whole interview here with the first question, which is, how did you get started in the world of stunt performing?
Really kind of by accident. So I had just moved back to LA. I was only in LA for like less than a year in like 2013, 2014. And then I got accepted into a full-time training university called the National Institute of Circus Arts. And that was in Melbourne, Australia. And I was the only American that got accepted in there that year. And I trained there full-time for a 3-year full-time training bachelor's degree in circus arts. And um, I graduated there in 2018, and then I moved back here, and I got accepted into the Cirque du Soleil database. But when you get accepted into Cirque, you don't immediately get placed in a show. You kind of go in their database of talent, and you just kind of wait to hear from them so they can place you in, depending on your specialty. So as I was kind of waiting, it was the night of the Oscars
Okay.
in 2018. I think that was like March or something. It had to have been March. And my best friend Darren Bailey, who's also a great actor and stunt guy, look him up. Uh, Darren and I ran into his friend James Logan at like this random store, and they were like, "Hey," because Darren knows everybody. So Darren was like, "James, hey," and we all like, I met him, and then James invited us to his house to look at the Oscars and to watch the Oscars. And I just had this like gut feeling. I was like, I don't know why, but I have to go. Like we have to go to this party. And we went, and that's where I met James, and I just had no idea they were stunt people. And a really nice guy who's a friend still named Nick Benjamin, who's a really cool stunt coordinator. He's an awesome guy. I looked him up as well. And when I got to know them, they were like, "Oh, you do circus? Like, oh, we're like training tomorrow, like at this place. Like, you should come try it out." And I had never really considered stunt work. Like, it's not like an advertised
Mm-hmm,
career.
mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then I get there the next day, and they like talked me through it. We did like basic fight choreography, and I was obviously like new and rusty, but I was like, "Ooh, I kind of like this." And then Nick was like, you could do this. Like you should keep going, like keep pursuing it." And I was like, "Cool." And then that's how I accidentally got into the stunt industry because of a run-in with my best friend's friend.
There you go. I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible how things sometimes turn up, right? Whenever, like, it takes like one thing to suddenly takes you to another one once you realize you're making a career on it. So,
Yeah, it was like one of those very like I feel like people have this it's like a very serendipitous
mm,
meeting of like fate kind of thing. Like had we not like gone to that one store to and ran into James Logan, like it wouldn't have happened. Like I don't know, I don't think it would have happened. So it was just really
that's cool.
I just find it fascinating.
Yeah, that is amazing. I'll love that. Now, time went
Yeah.
by, you started to make it a career, but tell me, can you share a memorable challenge or experience from one of your stunt roles?
Um, well, the challenge has still been like I initially started in 2018, but I had to stop a few months later because I was trying to go into remission from an autoimmune disease that I still have it, but it was pretty bad back then. And I don't know how I graduated from my training school. I was constantly injured because I was like almost obsessive with trying to go into remission. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a mystery case. It was a really intense case. And when I got back here, I took some like meds. I still don't know how it happened or what happened, but I ended up in the emergency room and it tanked my cortisol levels.
Wow.
Um, which basically cortisol is the hormone that you need to function. Like if you don't have any cortisol, I think that's Addison's disease.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be on cortisol or cortisone for the rest of your life or something because your adrenals don't work. But for whatever I had taken, tanked my cortisol levels. And anytime after when I tried to like work out or do anything like physical activity, after about 5 or 10 minutes, I would start shaking because my body couldn't produce the
Mm-hmm.
cortisol. So it was, I think, the worst time of my life. I had gained like 10 pounds overnight. It was like a woman's worst nightmare. Like it was just like, oh my
Okay.
God, I don't recognize myself. And I also can't do anything about it
Mm-hmm.
because my body was not physically capable or like hormonally capable of working out without making me more sick. So the only natural thing, like remedy, they were like, you can do cortisone, or I was like, no, I'm terrified of any taking anything else. I'm scarred for life. So the only other option was to just meditate and sit there and stretch and do like yin yoga, which is like just sitting in stretching positions for about 10 or 11 months.
Wow.
And I had to watch all of my friends and peers and colleagues uh, progress. And I had to sit there in my like body that I didn't recognize or
Mm-hmm.
feel at home in, and, all these ups and downs, and felt stuck. So that was a huge challenge that I thankfully, it's overcome, but like I'm still not fully in remission. It's like a whole long story, but like it was a good lesson in perseverance and being
Yeah.
grateful for like what, being grateful for having a healthy body. And
Yeah. Wow.
once I was finally able to get back into things as best as I could, I just never took anything for granted, like I never took anything for granted ever again. And I was so grateful anytime I was on a set because I was like, wow, I know what it feels like to not be able to do that or not have that
Mm-hmm.
as an option. And that comes into identity crisis and like, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the experience because it's like, it's either that or you have regrets, and I don't choose to have regrets. It's
Mm-hmm.
always growth. It's always like the choice of, okay, what lessons did you learn? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that has been the biggest challenge, along with like an old neck injury with like a loose ligament and having to navigate modifying training because of that, which I've found a solution to, but that required a lot of patience and delayed gratification. Um, just a lot of stuff, like health related stuff, that
Mm-hmm.
has been the biggest challenge. Yeah.
I'm already speechless. What can I say?
Oh, yeah,
That
a lot of
that is
those.
incredible. I mean, that's like super badass. I mean, like seriously, you just climb up to my top five of most badass people in the world for sure. That is
Oh,
incredible. That is
wow. Thank
incredible.
you.
You know,
Thank you.
because of the fact that yeah, because of the fact for those difficulties you have, but you keep moving forward. Where I mean, where there's so many people out there who would have quit. And at some point it's understandable, but for you, the fact that you managed to keep moving forward and not letting that to kind of affect you. I mean, of course, it's easier said than done, right? But
Yeah.
you're doing it. That is
Thank you.
amazing. Wow.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is super cool because it's true. I mean, sometimes we take things from granted, right? I mean, we tend to get into this kind of a comfort zone in which we tend to either set everything for tomorrow, be like, yeah, we'll do this tomorrow, right? Or nah, maybe not today, maybe like in a couple of months, we'll see, right? But like once you have like those type of situations, I mean that I think that that's when you open your eyes basically, and you start to discover that life is not for granted, and it takes only 1 second to really change 360 degrees for you to start from scratch again, or even to not doing something you were planning to do because something happened, things in there. So I do also think the same, that sometimes we should be enjoying everything of it and not let and making sure that at least by the end of the day you did everything you wanted, and by the next day if you have it, perfect, it's a gift, keep working on it, and then don't take anything for granted. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the other thing that's like kind of a lingering, I guess, side effect of that whole experience. I'm still experiencing it in
Totally.
ways. It's like morphed and changed, and it's a lot better, but it's always like it's a daily thing, really. It's like I was so used to having to water down and say no to
Yeah.
my training and my whatever, and having to like rest, like hardcore rest. So my autoimmune disease, the root cause of it is like a chronic gut infection that's really hard to get rid of, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like a mystery case. So even my specialist, like, we just have to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. So that has required since 2021 now. I've been going every month or 3 months, I'll go through a round of antibiotics. And the side effects of those are like physical aches. Like I'll
Mm-hmm.
get, it'll feel like I ran a marathon, by not doing anything. So training is like really hard. And then I'm susceptible to injury. And then I have to like really water it down and only like walk on the treadmill or stretch. And
Mm-hmm.
that infuriates me, but it's like, what can you do? And yeah, I've been so used to having to like lessen and really be mindful and careful about my training that I guess it's a better thing than to be reckless. But
Yeah.
now the side effect of that is being like, oh, okay, I actually can go harder now. Like I can actually train instead of having to be at 40%, I can actually right now be at like 75 if I want. So my brain is still not used to
Mm-hmm.
being like, okay, let's go. Because I still have procedures to go through.
Yeah.
Like I'm in one now, but I'm actually capable of like it's not affecting me as much, which is cool. But like um one of the lingering things that's a continued challenge. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to water myself down anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
That's
that's another aspect.
yeah, absolutely. That is that yeah, that's badass, as I was saying. That is incredible. Once I met someone that she had like this kind of paralysis from her neck to the whole body basically, and
Mhm.
it took her years for her to kind of be for her to like do like simple things, like lifting her arms or like kind of a open like standing up, like things like that. But she did manage to make that happen. And she does like she does like conferences in which she would talk about her experience, to kind of inspire people and things like that. And I found that really, yeah, really, really amazing because I mean sometimes I do think also that when situations like that, you start to discover how, yeah, like how sensitive like how sensitive our body is, and that, yeah, like maybe you could be like super strong, but it takes like one thing inside to like really break you. And no matter how like strong from the outside you be, like physically and muscles and everything, sometimes they just take like one disease in order for like put you to back to scratch and things like that. So which is scary, but also as I was saying, I do tend to understand that at least for the day, if I have the opportunity to wake up the next day, make sure that you are doing everything you enjoy, or at least that you're happy about it, like make use of it, not waste your whole day for you to be like, yeah, I will do that tomorrow and things like that. So
Yeah, for sure. And also making sure you're not hiding behind your
totally.
diagnosis or using it as an excuse,
Yeah,
which like
exactly.
years ago, like when I first started dealing with it, I was a lot more insecure than I
Hmm.
am now. So I would use that as an excuse to kind of, you know, be like to not fully show up
Yeah.
and to be like, oh, that's not my best or that's not my best. And now I'm just so sick of dealing with it or having to like people in my life, like I don't
Hmm.
talk to them about it. I don't because I don't want that to be like my identity, you
Yeah,
know?
totally. Yeah, like a wall, let's say.
Yeah, like there's some people who kind of if they're diagnosed with something intense, it's like, yes, that can take over your life, but
Hmm.
it's a different case when you make it your entire life and personality and what you surround your world in. So I really these days, last few years, I'm just like, I'm over it. I don't want to talk about it like with my friends or family. I just want to like do the work so I can just like not be so restricted and just do what I love. So
There you go.
that's the other thing that a lot of people don't think about too.
Hmm.
You
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. That is incredible. Now,
know,
what specific skills and training are crucial for a stunt actress, and how do you maintain them?
I think the biggest thing is safety. So one of the main things that you do is when you do like basic fight choreography moves like jab, cross, hook, uppercut, you have to make sure that you're not doing it in like a regular boxer way or
Hmm.
MMA or whatever, like it has to be very specific for the camera and for film. So you have to know who to go to, who's trained in that, like certain stunt coordinators, fight coordinators, people who've been in the industry for, it's like kind of like a search, like you have to really network and find those people and those
Hmm.
instructors and those mentors to be guided in the right direction on that. Because as an example, like boxers, I've heard a lot from stunt coordinators that boxers are very difficult to um, teach fight choreo for film because they're so used to being like here
Hmm.
and fast and quick twitch and covering their face, which is good for being a stunt double. But like you have to be open in a certain way and you have to react and take hits and basically give yourself like whiplash in certain
Hmm.
ways. You also have to constantly be mindful of where the camera is over your left shoulder, over your right shoulder, coming from there. So that's a whole skill in itself, and I think that's the basic fundamentals of stunts, as well as knowing how to incorporate whatever foundation you have into the stunt world. So like a lot of dancers are really good at stunts because, stunt work is basically a dance with another person.
Yeah,
So they know
absolutely.
how, yeah, so it's just about fine tuning the right things. As a circus artist, I was a gymnast and circus artist. I transitioned into circus. I'm still both, but like yeah, I think it was an easier transition for me because like I'm so used to being in the air in a harness, like I've been in it all my life. So it's like that acrobatic foundation is pretty strong. However, I don't have a martial arts foundation. So
Yeah,
it's
of
like
course.
I have to really pick up like I'm doing jujitsu and taekwondo and learning judo. So it just depends on where you're from. But you just really have to be like an all around good you know, good at weapon. Like just there's so much. Like I get really overwhelmed with like
Hmm. Hmm.
all the things I still need to learn because like you never stop learning.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I met someone who specialized in creature work.
is her name Andy Norris?
Yeah,
She's a good friend of mine.
yeah, she's super cool. She was one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
she was one of the first people that I've interviewed back then, a couple like a yeah, like a couple like 2 years ago now. And
Yeah, she's
when she was like explaining me a little bit about yeah, like a little bit about it, I was like, that is so cool.
yeah, Andy's great. I've done a couple of things with her. She's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, I do enjoy every now and then when they release like a whole behind the scenes, when they are like showing how they prepare like in a specific fight scene or things like that. Like for example, when they show like a little bit of the whole behind the scenes for kind of like the whole Star Wars, when they're like fighting, and like coordinating like the
Yeah,
whole stuff. And I mean, once you see it, yeah, like once you see it, yeah, like the final product, it looks amazing. But like once you see like behind the scenes, I sometimes wonder like how many takes that took in order for them to like be like ready and hits, and accidents, that it happens. I mean, it's inevitable, but that's pretty cool. The fact that they can manage to kind of prepare an incredible, yeah, like a super coordinating to present it and looks and by the end of it, it looked like super real. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's a whole team of people too. So it's like the camera guy's got to be
Hmm.
knowledgeable and
Hmm.
good, and the director, like they have to have a good eye. So it's like a whole teamwork
Yep.
thing. There's no one person that does it all themselves,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
I like being in the stunt community because it's like you have to work together.
Hmm.
So like, build each other up. So that's
And are there like any particular types of stunts or action sequences that you find the most challenging or rewarding?
ooh. Most rewarding. I really like I like wire work.
Mm.
Um, I think the most rewarding thing for me to do would be like some sort of, I don't know, anytime I see not necessarily just like captain like characters where they're like flying around. Like I have very good aerial awareness. So it's like a goal of mine to, land, I don't know, a TV series or
Hmm.
something or movie or something that requires like their double needing to fly around and twist and turn like acrobatic like a flying character. Um, that stuff is really fun. It feels most fulfilling when I do the wire work stuff. I'm not like the biggest fan of doing um the wire stuff that requires like the falls. Like if someone, I don't know, like going into a wall like a ratchet pull.
Hmm.
That's not my favorite. I'll do it, but it's not like my favorite. But I like the ones where you have to wrap around your stomach and you do a couple twists and then fall, ideally on a mat, but you can't pick and choose those things. So like
Yeah.
those are really satisfying for me. The most challenging, hmm, I mean, it depends on who you're working with too, because the
Hmm.
challenge could be like the way that somebody wants it envisioned and you either translate like mistranslate it or see it a different way or like you provide it in technically the right way that on paper but they want it a different way, like different styles. So like one stunt coordinator could really want like an old school like hook, and then there's another style of the same exact skill but it's more like John Wick. So it's like you have to kind of do your research on who you're working with and what kind of project it is. I think the most challenging thing for some people could be that, and having to constantly be on your toes to modify.
Hmm.
It's I'm fine with that. Like I don't find that like super challenging because I like to be directed. Like I'm very directable. But um I'd say stuff like maybe weapon, like some sort of some weapons, just because I get in my head about being too technical. So I get really like, oh, is it this angle or this, like,
Hmm.
so I get really hyper specific, and that can be my downfall sometimes.
Okay.
Um, Stuff like that, like just making sure I'm on my mark a lot, like too much almost.
And
um,
now like that you mentioned that, like, how do you work with directors and choreographers to ensure the safety and success at the same time of a stunt scene?
well, I'm personally really strict about safety. So, listen to the director. And like usually the director talks with the stunt coordinator and then they kind of get their vision and pass it on to me to make sure we can do it right.
Hmm.
But like it depends. It really depends. I don't quite, I'm trying to think. It's like a really case by case basis. Like you just have to be really attentive. Like you have to
Hmm.
be really focused and like empathy and reading the room and having like that skill of uh self-awareness and awareness of like social awareness to understand where someone's coming from. It's basically a lot of that.
Okay, okay. I love that. And can you tell us about a time when things didn't go as planned during a stunt and how you handled the situation?
Oh, I'm lucky. Like I haven't. Oh no, actually. There was a potential fire hazard at one time. I was doing like an outdoor, I was doing an outdoor live event
Hmm.
for a premiere. It was in like 2021. What was it? It was for the show Panic. It was like an Amazon series. And I was some sort of like character, like a character like from the show or something. And I had to climb up this like 75-foot uh I think they initially used it for like zip lines, like you climb up it and at the top you like attach to a zip line and you're like flying around. Um, but we used that for this stunt, like in front of this crowd where I like had this not sparkler, what's it called? Like a flare, like a real
Hmm.
flare. I had to like light it because it was part of the show. And I was like, yeah, like start the panic game or something. And I was attached to nothing. What was I attached to? I can't remember, but I was like 70, 80 feet in the air, surrounded by this pillar. And the flare in front of the audience, it wouldn't go off. Like it went off, but it wouldn't go out. And I
Hmm.
had like a bucket of sand, uh, and I had to like put the flare, face down into the sand to make it stop flaring and sparkling. Sparkling, is that it? And it wouldn't go off. Like it would not light out. Light out, go out. I can't speak my words today. It wouldn't go out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Was like, oh no, oh no. And like everyone was watching me and I was just like trying to stay in character and trying to put the flare out. And I like kept like moving the sand like to kind of try and bury the, the end point of it. And then it started to melt the bucket because the bucket was made of plastic, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, shit. So I just like kept in character, I kept trying to like discreetly put this flare out that wouldn't go out. And then I just kept it in the bucket. I tried to bury it, and then it started smoking. And I calmly, like, back away like Homer Simpson, like into the bushes. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
back.
totally.
And then I just like shouted down very calmly to my coordinator. I was like, hi, it's starting to smoke and the bucket is melting. So we need a fire extinguisher, please. And then they like one of the assistants came right up with a fire extinguisher, like, and mind you, the whole thing I was on was entirely made of wood, and it was in like Malibu surrounded by the forest. So it was like one of the
Mm-hmm.
things where I was like, okay, I almost burned down all of Malibu. Not necessarily it being like anyone's fault, it was just a situation that
Mm-hmm.
it was handled very quickly and very swiftly. But yeah, that's the only other thing that's gone wrong, and was handled well, but
Mm-hmm.
funny in retrospect. But that one takes the cake too.
Yeah, absolutely. You stopped the
Yeah.
fire.
Yes, yes, stop the fire. But it
Yeah.
was in front of everybody too, so they were just like confused. Thankfully, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. They just didn't know what was going on. But I was mainly concerned for them because I was like, everything is fine. But we moved on. It was okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay. I'll take it. And you know what? Let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to start in the whole stunt industry. But here's the thing. Zero experience. So based on what you know, what do you think that would be where do you think that would be a good place for me to start?
I would say starting in first thing that came to mind was a judo class, to be
Mm,
honest. Because judo is the throws, a lot of the throws are incorporated in a lot of the stunt recs that you
okay.
do. Um, or at least it's similar. They're just straight up basic judo throws. But that has come the most in handy, learning how to fall safely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going to a judo class is probably um, a good start. And then finding, yeah, like it's just like dipping your toes in different martial arts, like like if you're an adult, starting gymnastics as an adult is pretty difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say judo and learning how to fall and rec properly, and then trying to get into places like Tempest Free Running Academy, parkour, going to joining on movement, and finding stunt workshops for
Mm,
sure.
okay.
That's where you can find stunt coordinators who can pass down their knowledge, and you know, it's like 90% networking, which is it's good or bad depending on the type of person you are,
Mm, okay.
and like the ability to network
Mm-hmm.
and without
Mm-hmm.
like being annoying, or knowing how to do it right, that kind of thing.
Okay. I'll tell you what, if I ever yeah, if I ever started that, once I write my memoirs, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Okay, sure. Awesome. I'd be honored.
Sounds like a plan. Wow. Okay. Okay. And in what ways has the industry evolved in terms of safety and inclusivity for stunt actors, and what improvements would you like to see in the future?
I'd like to see the Oscars acknowledge stunts. That'd be nice, because I think I know that they're worried about if there was a category for stunts, there would be like more injury or something for people wanting to like get.
Yeah, like step it up. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's going to exist anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think that already exists plenty, because we have the Taurus World Stunt Awards. So that's I have never really heard of someone trying to do something more dangerous just for the sake of being nominated. I just don't, that just doesn't really, I'm sure it
Mm-hmm.
exists. I haven't really like heard about that kind of competitiveness. So I don't know. I'd like to see the Oscars acknowledge stunts. That would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that
So,
would be great. Yeah, because I mean, as I was saying before, like once you once you see like a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes, you get a chance to see like what the actual work it is, and how many hours they have to prepare and things like that in order to make it into the final product. So yeah, that would be good if they can have like a category for it. I mean, it's part of the process too. So you know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, it's also our job to be invisible. So At what point do you start to be seen
There you go. That would be
or
great.
acknowledged? That's why the acknowledgement is like, it means a lot to us, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get it. And
Mhm.
now if your life were a sitcom, what would be the title of it? But also, who would you, yeah, like who would play the fictional version of yourself?
Who?
Mm-hmm.
Like an actress?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I don't. What would be the title? What would be the title? Um, I maybe just my name. I don't know. Just just Taylor's life. I this is like the most like non-creative answer. I think regarding the actor, I don't know why Jennifer Lawrence comes to mind.
There you
She,
go. Okay.
I know I resonate with being down to earth like her
Hmm.
and just like, being clumsy, ironically. I'd say maybe Jennifer Lawrence or I'll stick with her.
Okay.
But if it comes to like physical, in my head, I was like, well, I double her in my own show. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, maybe Jennifer Lawrence. Sorry, that was the most uncreative, like non-creative answer to that question. I throwing me through a loop there.
It's
Um,
okay. No worries. It's okay. It happens.
yeah, that's
Okay. So we will leave it with Jennifer Lawrence that is going to play the fictional version of yourself. And the
sure.
title, we'll see.
We'll see. To be determined. Yeah.
There you go. I'll take it. I'll take it. Now, how could you describe your whole career? But you know what? This time on a drink.
How would I describe my career
On a in a drink. Yeah.
in a drink?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like if my career had to be a drink, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
Green tea comes to mind.
Okay.
Not an energy drink because that can make people crazy,
Mm-hmm.
like have their heart rate like go nuts. At least me, I can't do that. Not just water because it's too bland. But
Mm-hmm.
green tea, I think it's a healthy balance of like the right amount of energy and keeps you focused
Mm-hmm.
and healthy and energized and gives you a little bit of a boost depending on how
Okay.
much green tea you consume and what your tolerance is. And then you can sweeten it if you want, depending on your mood.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd say green
Green
tea.
tea. Okay. And with that, I mean, so it's green tea, but let's say I want to order it. Does it have like a name to it or
Man, I failed that question just now with the name of the sitcom. So let's see. Um, Tay's tea.
there you go. Simple, cool, short,
Wow, innovation that
down
shocked
to
the world
down
right
to
there.
earth.
Yeah,
There you go. I'll take it.
yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So how you manage to stay focused in a yeah, like regardless of how difficult your life might be at that point.
To stay focused, I try to write things down a lot. So
Mhm.
I'll write. I have like a large post-it. It's like a size of like my laptop screen. It's like a post-it note, and I
Okay.
every day or every few days I'll like put a fresh post-it on, and then I'll have it next to like a monthly thing. I'll just keep on my wall
Hmm.
of like goals I want to achieve, or like with Taekwondo, getting to the next belt, what short films I want to create, and always just for me, it's important. Like maybe I'm like undiagnosed ADHD. I don't know. It's just, I have a short attention span. So it's like I have to be reminded of
Hmm.
what to keep focusing on. Otherwise, I'll just kind of be buzzing and just kind of try and do the next thing without, I need structure. So making my own structure is really important. So those post-it, those big post-it notes are really helpful. And also I got an iPad recently just for the organization of my training,
Okay.
um, and staying on top of it. Because that's my biggest thing for me is like, how do I balance my circus, stunt, acting, like working with a personal trainer, having like neck exercises, making sure I do my steer wheel performances, and keeping up with those skills. Like it's such a big juggle, like gymnastics, like, and then how exhausted am I going to get if I go too
Mm-hmm.
much? So how do I spread that out per week? I still don't know. I still don't know how to do that properly. So yeah, they just keep going because there's just so much to always do. That is
Yeah,
my
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
it's like if you abandon it, then you're falling behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds busy, but amazing at the same time.
Yeah, it's a very busy lifestyle, which I prefer, but it also makes relaxing really satisfying because you're
Yeah, yeah, like
okay,
those
I
moments.
earned this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. And you know what? My last question. So we can all enjoy after a couple of, difficult questions here and there. Super easy one. Check this out. So, what do you think that would be the best title for this episode?
You can't be throwing these title questions at me. I'm like the worst.
It's the last one. Take your time.
um, shit. Maybe that's what it should be called. Shit. I don't. How about like? You can't keep doing this to me. I'm so bad. Tea time with Taylor, I guess. That's dumb. Don't use that. I don't know.
What about green tea and fireworks?
That's cute. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
a lot more creative in that way than I am. Yeah, green tea and fireworks.
or green tea and flares.
The maybe the fireworks.
Yeah,
That
maybe
that
the fireworks. Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
sounds cuter, I guess.
Because that's gonna be like the title for this episode. Like when you search it, it's gonna appear.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So it's green tea and fireworks.
Green tea and fireworks. That's great.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah, why not?
Are we good with that? Okay, okay. I mean, at the end, what can I say? It's amazing what you do. It's super impressive. It's badass. I mean, it's wow. And the fact that you are keep doing it, the fact that you are getting yourself more involved into the whole thing, like keeping yourself busy with different activities here and there in order to continue like achieve it for more, that is incredible. And hey, I'm super sure that there's people out there who sees you as a role model and as someone who is not stopping, who is keep moving forward, getting things done. And I think that is super impressive, and especially right now in this crazy world, whenever we can find someone that we can relate somehow because they are making things happen and they are inspiring us through their story. I think that is super cool. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
absolutely. I do want to thank also those who tuned in the whole episode. Thank you so much. Now in the description below, as I said in the beginning, you're going to find all of Taylor's social media. Now we found out why she's a total badass. So let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Taylor. And Taylor, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep killing it out there. Keep rocking. Keep shining. And I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, everybody.
All right.
So much. Have a good rest of your day.